Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Patch, and we are for the very last time on the Redcubed server. So, if for some reason you haven't heard by now, we made the decision a few days ago to pull the plug and shut down the Redcubed server permanently. Am I happy with this decision? Absolutely not. Was it an easy decision to help make? Absolutely not. Did we see this coming? Absolutely. And I guess you guys have probably seen it coming too. You've seen Poet quit and Liam quit and a lot of people leave in the last couple of weeks, even days. And so I can understand if it was overly evident from the outside that we were going to shut down. But now that that time has come, I feel that I have a responsibility to you guys to tell you exactly what happened, exactly why it happened, and hopefully teach you a couple of things about why we had to shut down so that you can avoid those lessons, so that you can avoid those things happening to you in the future. There are going to be a couple of life lessons that I hope you take from this discussion, and more or less I just hope that you hear me through to the end of it and respect our decision to close Redcubed. So, I guess without further ado, let's get going. I'm going to be walking around a little bit through this video because I like to have something to do in the interim, but I don't know, I'm just one of those people who has to be moving even when he's sitting playing a game. I don't know. Anyways, so one more reminder. The stuff that I'm going to say is going to sound a lot like Mogswamp's video. That is because most of the stuff that he said in his video were things that I had already told him. So if you would prefer not hear my speaking and rather hear his speaking, I will put a link to his video in the description. But anyways, let's turn our render distance up a bit and play with some settings. Alright, so let's start from the top. Redcubed was started roughly a year and 4 or 5 months ago. I think it was August of 2012. And as you can see, we're in 2014 now. We've stuck it out this far. We were doing pretty well. And I think I'm going to walk you through a timeline because it's probably going to be the easiest way to do it. The server was started by SilentMyst following the demise of his older server, which was called the Minecraft Chronicles. And because Drew is and was in high school during the time of the Minecraft Chronicles and the launch of the Redcubed server, was during the launch of the Redcubed server, it was very high school oriented, and by that I mean it was primarily designed for him and his friends. Hey, Ice Cube. It was primarily designed for him and his friends to play on it with maybe a couple other people, and I think the YouTube way of doing things was honestly just... Where'd my horse go? Honestly just a bonus for them. This is meaning no disrespect, but the mentality... How do you get down there? The mentality of the server was very... It's Drew and his friends, let's get on and play, and that is the way that... Wait a minute. Who's that? That is the way that the server acted, and that's pretty much how it acted... Oh, it's Steve's horse. That's pretty much how it acted right up until 2 people joined the server. And who were those 2 people? Liam and Poet. And at which point, I think their mentality was more, this is going to be a fun experience, this is going to be a fun server, but it's also a business server. It's also a place that we're all YouTubers, we're all going to have, or we're all kind of business partners in this full event, and this needs to be a very professional server, which I completely 100% agree with. But that is the time that the server began to shift focus from Drew and his friends playing on a Minecraft server to a group of business partners. It feels a little bit cruel to say, but business partners on a server. And that was probably the biggest cause of our problems, is that that's the root of our problems, is the server was started as a very, again, I want to use this expression, Drew and Friends Minecraft server, and not necessarily professional YouTube server. When Liam and Poet came in, what they expected was a professional server, and that is what it was advertised as, and that's how they expected it to be, and that's what they came in for. And so I think as we started to add more and more members, and we actually found members who were willing to stick around for a little while, don't get me wrong, we've had an absolutely massive member turnover rate in the last year. I think we've had about 50 members total, and only a handful who stuck around for more than a couple of weeks. And yeah, but once we started to get more and more people who were actually devoted to Redcubed, we began to really need that focus on professionalism. And with all due respect to Drew, he is a great guy. That was not the focus that he necessarily could deliver on the server, because it really wasn't what he intended. And now, again, that is to me no disrespect to Drew whatsoever. He is one of my best friends, but I would like to say it like it is that was not the mentality that he had subscribed to, but it was the mentality that other people had subscribed to. There's ice. Anyways, so yeah. Now, this really didn't blossom into a problem for a little while now. I think problem, but it didn't start to become evident for a couple of months. When did it start to become evident? Definitely the Redcube public server. Now, at the launch of the server, we had a public server, but it was not managed properly. It was hurting. There weren't really a devoted group of people who were running it, and therefore it was not getting the support it needed, so it shut down. Throughout the server's run, we were getting fans who continually asked us, "Where's the public server? We want a public server. Bring back the public server." And in, probably get the month wrong, August maybe? August, that sounds about right. We began to consider the possibility of opening a public server, and by this time, Drew had begun college. Now, college is a great experience, definitely recommend you go there, but it doesn't leave you a lot of time to do anything but college. And what do I mean by that? Well, you need a social life. You have to have a social life. You have to devote time to your studies. You have all these factors that, while they were evident in high school, have become amplified a million times over in college. And you start to realize that you don't necessarily have the time to be a full-time YouTuber and a full-time server host. And I think that's what happened to Drew, is he realized, or is he didn't necessarily realize, but it began to happen to him, is he didn't have time to manage Redcube, so he was absent. Then we started talking about a public server, and without Drew's consent, we went, I think Nick or someone, doesn't really matter who, we ended up launching the public server campaign without Drew's permission, and basically he came home from college one day and found that we had launched a donation drive for the Redcube public server. And at that point, he was quite mad. He was not very happy that someone had gone ahead and done it. I don't think he ever wanted to do it, but regardless, that was it. It wasn't his fault that the campaign got started. However, the fact that he didn't have time to be the server's admin was what led to it being started. Oh, hello, Ice. Hello. Just finally recording a farewell. Aw, he's sad. I feel for Ice. Anyways, at this point, sorry, where? I lost my position completely. Public server, right? Public server, right? At this point, we had a public server campaign, and the decision that should have been made by Drew was to cancel the campaign, because while we all enjoyed the fact that, hey, we got $500 in donations in the first 24 hours, while we all enjoyed that, the proper decision at that point would have been to cancel the campaign, because none of us really were willing to put in the time to build the public server. None of us really were interested in the public server, and what was worse was none of us had any idea how we could accomplish that. So that decision was not made correctly either. And this is where the problem of professionalism starts to come out, because we were not acting professional about the public server, and therefore the public server was not going to be professional from the start. Now, that should have been a tip-off, but that was another bad decision that we made, and, well, it only gets better and better from here. The public server campaign was booming. We went ahead and made about 3,500, yeah, you heard me, $3,500, or no, might have been $3,300 off of the campaign, which was way more than any of us ever expected to get, and all of it was funded by you guys, the subscribers, the people who we were allegedly building the server for. Now, allegedly might be the wrong word. We never intended to take the money and not deliver. But as a result of the poor planning, and as a result of the fact that no one really wanted to take the initiative and step up to start working on the public server, that's what happened. Now, rest assured, and I think Drew deals with this in his goodbye video, so there's another one I have to link. Rest assured, no one has pocketed the money and run to Mexico. We did not steal that money for personal use, and that money is not going to be used for personal use. But anyways, let's turn off rain because it is obnoxious. And that was... there we go. Yeah, spawn is still really laggy for undisclosed reasons. Anywho, where was I? Yes. The money. We had $3,300 from the subscribers, and no one really wanted to touch it. Nobody really wanted to do anything public server-wise. Now, the campaign closed... it might have been July. I'm thinking August, but the whole thing might have been in July after all. I'm not entirely sure. The campaign went ahead and closed, and at which point we realized, oh, we just did this. We need to do something. Now, we lost our ability to give refunds the moment that the campaign closed, because Indiegogo takes a significant portion of the money. I believe $400 went to Indiegogo. Don't quote me on that, but definitely significant portion of the money went to Indiegogo, and we didn't even have the billing addresses of people, so there was really no way to return the money. And oh dear, oh my, wow, gotta love creepers. yeah, so at this point, we had people like Vaughn, and people like Liam, and people like Poet, and people like Steve start to look at it and go, hey, my subscribers are asking when the public server is going to come up. You had better start to deliver on that. And, well, they were sort of yelling at Drew, which I can understand completely, and they started addressing, they weren't addressing anyone in particular at the start, but by the end they were definitely talking to Drew. Anyways, it doesn't really matter at this point. It doesn't matter at this point in the story. Basically, they started to realize that we needed to deliver, and that made us start to realize that we needed to deliver, and we continued to do nothing. And that's back to professionalism. It was not professional at all to undertake in the project, and once we realized we were going to need something, we didn't do anything. Or, I shouldn't say that, as we did get a public server going for a short time, or we did get building the public server going for a short time, but it wasn't anywhere near enough. So, gets around to November, we realize that we're losing audiences of Redcubed, we're losing members, it's time to do a server reset. And at this point, Liam and Poet definitely as well, but Liam and Poet are very, very mad internally at Drew for not being around when we needed him because he's always at college, not having started the public server, and just generally, I won't say being a bad admin, but being a not there admin, an absent admin. And Drew was the only one with server permissions, and his management style has always been quite autocratic, in the sense that every decision has to go by him, and everything we did had to be approved by him, and if he didn't like it, well, too bad. Even if the majority had voted for something, if he didn't like the decision, he would not do it. Now, a large number of times he did go with the majority, but he said most in his video. I'm going to say about half. This is not out of disrespect, but basically from what I saw, about half the time he went with what the majority wanted, and about half the time he went with what he wanted. So that was another big heated problem between Drew and, this roof is not finished, Drew and Liam and pretty much everyone who was vocal about the problems. And so, yeah. There are times when you need to learn to use a democratic leadership style. There are definitely times when you need to be autocratic. If all your server members... Let's imagine that a server is a spaceship. All of your server members are occupants. If they all decide to open the hatch and let all the oxygen out, you have to know when to step in and say, no, don't do that, that'll kill us. But by that same token, you don't want the captain of the ship to go crazy and start killing the server himself, and then not doing what the group wants, because that's being way too autocratic. So you need to learn when to balance the two leadership styles, and autocratic might have worked for the Drew and Friends server, but it didn't really work for the professional business server that Redcubed needed to become. And Drew, again, very nice guy, does not know, or did not know, how to actively switch between them. And that was another one of our downfalls, is Drew was not there for most of the time, and when he was there, the limited times that we got to see him, he did not know when to modulate his leadership styles, and he did not know basically he did not know how to be a leader for the times that we needed him. And I say that with no disrespect, but I say that as truthfully as I can. So server reset rolls around. We needed to do the reset. The reset worked great. We brought on a lot of new members: CherryPGamer, Kohd, Fabe, Phedran, all of those wonderful people. And things were looking up. I mean, look at this. In about 3 weeks, we built the spawn town. We built all of this in a month. That's pretty impressive. We had a lot of members online all the time, and the community was booming. Then, stuff started to go wrong. What do I mean by that? Well, we promised the public server to be done in October. So, come January, public server's still not there. Liam was already mad at Drew for the public server. He was always mad at Drew for not being there when we needed him, for not being completely democratic, for not being what is the best way to put this? For just being stubborn about certain things. And Liam got fed up, and Liam went ahead and left, which I completely understand. Liam is a great guy. He is a friend of mine. He is definitely a great person, and he made the decision that he was most comfortable with making, and he said to me, "Don't try to tell me how I feel about Redcubed. I cared about it more than you will ever know," and I completely believe that, but he did not want to be part of a Drew and Friends server. He wanted to be more in the professional environment, and so he went ahead and left. I don't know what Liam said in his goodbye video. I haven't memorized every line of the video. I think I did watch it a couple of weeks ago. But in any case, he went ahead and left, and at that point the walls began to come crashing down. Poet was basically our interim leader when Drew was not around. People just tended to do as Poet decreed, whether they realized it or not, and Poet made a lot of good decisions for the server, but of course without access to really the community like Drew had, he wasn't able to help. And I don't think Poet ever really wanted to be the owner of Redcubed, but he was thrust into making a lot of decisions while Drew wasn't there. So Poet eventually got fed up with the autocratic leadership style and the fact that his best buddy Liam was no longer there, and so Poet left. And Poet's leaving sparked a whole lot of problems in and of itself. For one, Winter was not very happy about being on a server without Poet, which makes sense. They're best friends, and she would not want to be on a server without him, and I know she had a very difficult time making the decision, and I know it wasn't easy for her either, but she went ahead and left. Now, I think she was also unhappy with the way that Redcubed was being managed, maybe not as much so as the other two, but once they had gone, she really saw, there was nothing left for her in Redcubed, which, again, I also understand. I'm getting a lot of mileage out of that word today, but yes. Winter left, and, well, after Winter left, people started to get a little bit nervous. People who had really not been vocal about their problems began to say, well, I'm thinking of backing out because we have problems. Now, I will give Drew credit for this. After Liam and Poet and Winter left, he did try to solve the problems that had been looming over our heads for a long time, but at that point it was basically too little, too late. Shouldn't there be a block here? I feel like there should be a lapis block there. Is it? No? There should be a block there. I don't know. Anyways, the problems were just escalating and escalating and escalating and escalating, and at that point, people who had been with us since the start started to bail, and I think part of the reason that they bailed was because they were scared that the community was dying. After our biggest members left, we as a community were cut in half, and I will say this, most of the people tried to stick along for as long as they were comfortable. I think a lot of people were paranoid that if Redcubed went down badly, they were going to get their names stained with it and would be forever branded to that name. I don't know if this is true or not, only time will tell, but I have to respect their decisions as well. So there was that, and I guess that is what has brought me to this place today. That's why I'm here today talking to you, is we started losing members who were scared, and we started losing members who had been with us for a long time but were so uncertain of the future that there was no future. And that's another life lesson, is that it's possible to get so scared of what's going to come that you inadvertently cause the future not to come. But again, at this point, it was probably too late to save Redcubed, because once the primary members had left, the secondary members were going to come, and they were going to come very soon. And at that point, there was absolutely no hope of saving Redcubed, and we basically went from 24 members down to 16 members, and down to 12 members, and down to 10, and at that point, we had a vote. How many of you would vote in favor of shutting down the server? And it was about 75% support in favor of that decision, including myself. And at that point, we pulled the plug. And that is what has brought me here. That is the full story. That's everything that has caused Redcubed to live, everything that has caused Redcubed to die. And, well, I guess that brings me on to the future. The server is formally going to be shutting down on February 10th, when our rent for the server expires. However, I would not expect too many more videos from the community, because most of them are making their last videos and signing off, like poor Ice Cube down there, and I guess like myself now. Did I ever think that Redcubed was going to end? No, I did not see this day coming. Am I happy? Absolutely not. Was it an easy decision to make? Absolutely not. Did I learn from it? Absolutely. I guess there are a couple big life lessons to be learned here. The first one is about professionalism. It's about leadership. You need to know when to switch between your leadership styles, or you will never be able to manage people. You need to know when to be democratic. You need to know when to be autocratic. You need to know when to be laissez-faire. So that's the first lesson. The second lesson, I think, is really to do with professionalism itself. Is you need to understand the difference between a group of friends working on something and a group of professional people working on something, and you can't manage them the same way. So, first 2 points about leadership. Third point, if you have a problem, you need to identify that problem, and you need to fix that problem. On Redcubed, I think we've been okay at identifying problems, but we've never really gone out of our way to fix them. And that's not something that you can do. You can't just wait for a problem to solve itself. It won't happen. It will never happen. It has never happened. And if you think that it's going to happen, or if you think it has happened, check again. It didn't. It just passed you by, and now you're in trouble. So, as the sun sets on the final day of Redcubed, for me, I guess those are the 3 lessons that I have personally taken with me, and please, I am begging you for Redcube's sake, take them with yourself as well. So, looking over the spawn village, I would say that my greatest moment on Redcubed probably is the first day that I joined, because I had no idea what was going to happen, no idea of the people that I would meet, no idea of the friendships that I would make that will always be there, the people who I can rely on, the people who I trust, literally a second family. I had no idea any of that would come. Anyways, Redcubed has been a great series. It's been a great family for a year and a half, and as it turns to dark on my last day on Redcubed, I'd like to bid this world farewell, and hopefully, if I am lucky, say hello to the challenges and opportunities of tomorrow. So my name is Patch, and I will see you all. Don't really have anything planned as of now. I will see you all sometime in the future. I hope that you have enjoyed the time that we've spent on Redcubed, and I think we have to cherish every moment, because it will never come again. What we leave behind is not as important as how we have lived it. And I'd like to think that I've lived it very well. So, one more time, my name is Patch, and I will see you out there.